By the end of this class, we are going to develop a fully functional onboarding screen with SwiftUI's new Page tab view. In order to make this onboarding screen display some content, we will create a new reusable card view for the fruits. As you can notice, we can see only one card at one time, but we can activate the next card by moving our finger horizontally on the screen. This paging functionality with the little circle indicators at the bottom of the card is a built-in feature that we can utilize in SwiftUI 2 with writing only a couple lines of code. Alright, without further ado, let's open the Fructus project in Xcode and start coding, shall we? Organizing files and folders. Before we start working on the card view, let's organize first the main SwiftUI files by putting them into a new group folder. Select the Content View file on the project navigator and right-click or Control-click on its file name. By doing this, a new contextual menu will pop up. In this menu, select the New Group from Selection option as I show you. After that, give this folder the following name: App Super. The next file that we need to put into this folder is the fructusapp.swift file. By the way, this is the entry of the application and we are going to cover its importance later on in this section. Starting from now, we are going to put all major views into this folder and separate them from the other files. Okay, enough with the talk and let's do something visible. Card view. Our next step is to create another group folder by right-clicking or control-clicking on the project name in the Project Navigator panel. Give it the name View. Starting from now, we are going to save all of the smaller views into this folder and keep them separated from the main views. By doing this, we will organize our project and keep the file structure clean and neat. Now it's time to create the actual card view for the fruits. First, let's create a new file in the View folder. Then, Xcode will ask to choose the type of the file in the new pop-up window, then select SwiftUI View and click on the Next button. In the new window, enter Fruit Card View for its name and make sure that its destination is the View folder. Finally, click on the Create button and Xcode will add this file to this iOS 14 project. Alright, let's start coding. First, let's separate our file into 3 main sections as a starter. Enter the following comments as I do. Mark, Properties, Mark, Body, Mark, Preview. Nice job! Now let's add a new modifier to this preview window. Enter. Preview layout. Fixed. Width 320. Height 640. This fixed size is more suitable for us when we start designing the card's layout. After finishing with all this preparation, navigate to the placeholder text in the body and replace its content by typing Blueberry. As you may notice, the preview window on the canvas automatically updates its content. It's quite amazing, isn't it? We can code on the left side of the editor, while on the right side of it we can watch the layout changes immediately updated. Okay. Now, Command-click on the text name and select the Embed in VStack option in the recently pop-up context menu as I show you. This will quickly embed the text view into a new vertical stack container as we desired. After that, we need to add some spacing between the elements in this container. Enter. Spacing 20. Nice. Now we can mark the end of the container by adding a closing comment at the end of it as I show you. New comment, VStack. It's not mandatory, but I find this practice very useful over the past year developing many applications with SwiftUI. With the help of these closing comments, I always know where to put the view's modifiers. Alright. Another thing that I like to do is add new comments to the UI elements beforehand I start coding. This practice is always helping in the app development. Having said that, let's define the different types of content inside the card that we need to develop. First, we will need a card image. Enter. New comment, fruit, image. Next, we have already placed the card title. Just enter its comment above it. New comment, fruit, title. Then we are going to add a headline below this title. Enter. New comment, fruit, headline. And finally, we need to create a custom button as well. Enter. New comment, button, start. Card image. Alright, so far so good. Now let's add a new image for the card. Shall we? First, navigate to the image comment and add a new image view. Image. Blueberry. Wow! These blueberries are huge, so let's add some modifiers to shrink them down. Enter. Resizable. Scale to fit. Nice, these two view modifiers help a lot. What about adding a nice drop-down shadow to this image? Enter. Shadow. Color. Color. Red, 0. Green, 0. Blue, 0. Opacity, 0.15. Radius, 8. X, 6. Y, 8. As you can see, with this code we added a gentle, semi-transparent black shadow to this fruit. It will pop up our image even more from the background color after we add it to the card later on. Trust me, these little details make a difference between a good and an outstanding SwiftUI application. Background. Now it's time to add an expandable background view to this card. In order to separate this flexible background from the rest of the content, we need to embed this VStack container into a new ZStack container. The quickest way to do this is to embed this VStack into another one using Xcode's Quick Help. Command-click on the name of the VStack and select the Embed in VStack option from the new contextual menu. After that, rename the first VStack to ZStack as I show you. ZStack. Of course, we need to fix the closing comments at the end of the code as well. ZStack. VStack. Super. Now we are going to add a new background modifier to this ZStack. Enter the following code. Background. Linear gradient. 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 Colors. Color. Color blueberry light. Color. Color blueberry dark. Start point. Top. End point. Bottom. Finally, we are finishing up with adding a corner radius to this view as well. Enter. Corner radius 20. Our design gets better and better. Just one more thing is still missing. Our goal is to make this beautiful color gradient to expand itself to all edges of the screen. We can accomplish this by adding a new frame modifier to this view and make its size not only flexible but expandable as well. Enter the following modifier at the top of the others because their order really matters in SwiftUI. Frame min width 0, max width infinity, min height 0, max height infinity, alignment center. As you can see in the preview window, the background with the gradient colors is filling up the whole space. Isn't that cool, is it? Title. Now we are going to work on the card title and make it better with some new modifiers. First, navigate to it and enter the following code. Foreground color, color white. Font, large title. Font weight, heavy. Shadow, color. Color, red, 0. Green, 0. Blue, 0. Opacity, 0.15. Radius, 2. X, 2. Y, 2. As you can see on the preview window, these 4 lines of modifiers, including the subtle drop shadow, make a huge difference to the look of this card title. But we don't stop here. Headline. Let's continue the card development with the headline. Shall we? Navigate to its comment and let's create a new text view below it. Enter. Text. Blueberries are sweet, nutritious, and widely popular fruit all over the world. It's quite important to try to simulate the length of the text as precisely as we can, because later on it will be more difficult to modify the layout. In this case, 2 or at max 3 lines of content for the headline is ideal. But what about its appearance? Let's make its design better by adding some new modifiers to this text view. Enter. Foreground color, color white. Multiline text alignment, center. Padding, horizontal, 16. Frame, max width, 480. Alright, the headline is done as well. It's much better now, in my opinion. Do you agree with me? I hope so. But what this frame with the maximum width size is for, you may ask? Well, I can tell you that with my many years of experience in mobile app design and UI UX design in general on my back, I know exactly that on the wide iPad screen we need to maximize the length of the text line to 80 characters in order to keep the content easily digestible for the readers. I usually set this max width to 614 for the long text block. However, in this case I find it a little bit better to keep the content block of this headline a slightly narrow. Custom button. Fantastic, the card of the fruits is almost done. There is only one missing element that we need to develop. This is the custom start button. Since it's more complex than the default button provided by the mobile operating system, therefore I find it more approachable to develop it separately from the card view. Not to mention the unique functionality of this button when a user taps on it. To keep it short, it's always good practice to develop these kinds of complex elements as a standalone UI component with its own functionality. That's why we are going to create a separate SwiftUI file for it. Give this new SwiftUI file the name Start Button View and save it into the view group as I show you. Now it's totally up to you to follow me, because commenting on the main section of the file is an optional thing, but still it is a good practice in my opinion. Enter. Mark, Properties. Mark, Body. Mark Preview. Now, as for the unique size of the preview window, I would like to keep it flexible that fits its content size. Add this modifier to the preview. Preview layout, size that fits. See, the preview window shrank down its size to fit its content. Okay. After all of this prep work is done, it's time to add the actual button to this view. First, replace the default placeholder text view with this basic button structure. Button, action. Print, exit the onboarding. Text, start. There is nothing fancy about this button. It prints out a text message to the output when the user taps on it. Nothing more, nothing less. Just a plain, boring button. But hey, we can do it better, can't we? Okay, let's have some fun with SwiftUI, shall we? First and foremost, let's zoom in the preview window to get a better picture of the upcoming changes. 150% magnification is big enough on my screen. After then, let's try out one of the new features in Xcode 12. On the Previews toolbar, please click on the Settings button and change the color scheme from Inherited to Dark Appearance as I show you. This will change the preview's environment to dark. Since we are going to embed this custom button into the card view that has got always a dark gradient background color beneath it, therefore it's more suitable for us to design its layout in dark appearance as well. Now add the following modifier to the button. Closing comment, button. Accent color, color, white. This code will force to keep the button's appearance to light consistently even when the user is changing the font's appearance from light to dark and vice versa. Okay. Now let's embed the text view into a new horizontal container. Command-click on the name of this text view and select the Embed in HStack option as I show you. HStack. Great. Now add some spacer to this container. Spacing 8. Shortly after this, let's add a new image after the start content. Image, system name, arrow, right, circle. Not bad at all. But with scaling up this system icon, this could be even better in my opinion. So let's add this to it. Image scale, large. See, it's much better now. Now let's add some padding to this button before we embed it into a capsule shape. Padding, horizontal, 16. Padding, vertical, 10. Just a quick tip for you. Having a little bit more padding to the horizontal direction than to the vertical direction is a well-known practice amongst the UI designers. And finally, we are going to add a new capsule shape as a new background for this button. Enter the following code. Background. Capsule. Stroke border. Color white. Line width 1.25. Splendid. As you can see, this capsule shape with this white stroke will make this custom button really shine. Do you agree with me? I hope so. Alright, it's time to embed this custom button into the card view. Open the Fruit card view file and navigate to the end of the code. Then enter the following. Start button view. And here it goes. We have just finished the card view by adding this custom button to it. It's quite an impressive design, isn't it? But we are not done yet. Animation. By adding a solid animation to this card, we can improve the overall design since it can grab the user's attention to the card itself. Let's do it. First, navigate to the top of the file and let's create a new property. Enter the following code. @state private var is animating bool equals false. As you can see, this is not a regular property that stores a true or false Boolean value in it. Since we want to modify its value, therefore we must use a special @state property wrapper to achieve this goal. This @state property wrapper will allow us to mutate the state of the animation every time when the card appears on the screen. By default, its value is false, meaning the image is still and there is no animation running. Having said that, let's change its value to true each time when the card appears on the screen. To do this, navigate to the very end of the Z stack and before any other view modifier, please enter this new one. On appear. With animation, ease out, duration 0.5, is animating, true. Alright, this code will change the state of the animation to true as you can see. To add this, we also defined that it will be an ease out animation that is half a second long. There is only one thing that is still missing in this logic. We haven't decided yet what we want to animate on the screen. We will fix it by adding a scale effect to the image. Navigate to the image and after the shadow modifier, add this new one. Scale effect is animating, question mark, 1.0, column 0.6. You may ask how this code works. Well, basically, when the value of the isAnimating property changes from false to true, then the initial 0.6% size of the image will be scaled up to its original size. So the blueberries will be shrunk down initially, and each time when the card appears on the screen, they will be scaled up to its original size with a smooth easing out animation. Enough talking about it, and let's see it in action, shall we? Live Preview. Navigate to the Previews toolbar and click on the Start button. This will start the live preview using an embedded simulator. The animation is barely noticeable, but there is another problem that we can notice. As you see, the card fills out the whole screen, and this is not quite what we want. But don't worry, we can fix it by adding an additional padding to the card. First, navigate to the end of the container and add this missing padding modifier to it after the corner radius. Padding horizontal 20. Second, as you see, the live preview is updated automatically with the quick animation that we have developed recently. To be honest, I frequently find myself to test these kind of animations and other user interactive behaviors in the simulator or even better on a real physical device. In order to accomplish that, we need to display this card view in the main view somehow. Onboarding view. Alright, I have good news for you. We have already done with developing the card view and adding a smooth animation to it. Now we have reached the point when our Fructus application is ready to display this card on an onboarding screen. Having said that, let's create a new file for this onboarding screen, shall we? First, select the app folder in the project navigator, then right-click or Control-click on it. This will show up a new context menu for us. Select the New File option there, then select the SwiftUI template and click on the Next button. Now, name this file to Onboarding View and make sure the destination is the app folder before you click on the Create button. Alright, as you already know me by now, I am going to mark the main section of this file by adding new comments to them. You can follow me or skip this part, it's totally up to you. Enter. Mark. Properties. Mark. Body. Mark. Preview. Great! After finishing with this prep work, we are ready to develop the basic layout and functionality for this onboarding screen. First, we need to replace the placeholder text view with the recently developed card view. Enter the following code. Fruit card view. Awesome job! Now we are going to place this card into a Page tab view, which is a new UI element in the SwiftUI 2 framework. Enter the following code. Tab view. Then move the card view into this tab view. Now add a closing comment to this tab view. Tab. Now we must add a specific modifier to this tab view in order to create a paging user interface in SwiftUI. Enter. Tab view style. Page tab view style. Then follow up with adding a new padding to the whole view. Padding. Vertical. 20. And that's all. We have just created a basic paging tab view with only one modifier. Unfortunately, my preview stopped working properly. That's why you can't see it on my editor, no matter how many times I try to restart this preview. You can expect that sometimes the preview stops working without any particular reason, just like this time. I'm sure about Apple's engineers will improve its reliability over time. Until then, we need to use the proven simulator to test our application. But before we do that, there is still one thing that we need to do. As you can see, with this code, we embedded only one card into the onboarding screen. Therefore, now we need to multiply the number of displaying cards. We can easily achieve this goal by wrapping our card into a new for each loop 5 or 6 times. Let's do it right now. Enter this following code. For each, from 0 to less than 5, item in. Then move up the fruit view into this loop as I show you. Finally, enter. New closing comment, loop. Okie dokie. Since the preview is still broken without any reason, therefore it's time to test our app in a simulator or on a real test device. First, open the Fructus app. This is the new entry point of this application. Later on in this section, we are going to cover its importance of this app file in detail. But for now, in order to test this application, we need to tell this app to display the onboarding view instead of the default content view. Having said that, replace the content view inside the window group, inside the scene, and inside the new app protocol. Enter. Onboarding view. And that's all for this lecture. Simulator. Our only due to do is now to build and run the Fructus application in a simulator as I show you. Just wait for a second and see how our app is launching in the simulator. After that, you can test this basic onboarding screen with the new paging user interface behavior as you wish. As you can see, it's working without any problems or glitches. It's quite surprising that how few lines of code we can accomplish this functionality using the recently added Page tab view in the SwiftUI 2 framework. I hope that you enjoy this lecture. I can promise you that we can do even better in the next lecture, whereas we are going to work on adding more awesomeness to this Fruits application. Until then, happy coding and see you at the next class.